I remember the night that it happened clearly. I'd been living downtown. I was sleeping, but at exactly 3 in the morning, I was woken up by a deafeningly loud sound, almost like a horn blaring into my ears, and the most violent earthquake I've ever felt, as if the ground itself were falling apart. Just as it had come, the noise and rumbling then ceased. I looked out my window and I couldn't see anything. A dense fog had come in, so thick it looked as if someone had glued a bunch of pillow stuffing to the outside of my window. I could hear people talking down in the streets and went to check out what was going on, thinking a massive earthquake had just hit us. Well, there were multiple people gathered across the street talking to each other. Their voices were riddled with confusion. Some were frantic, talking about how the buildings had vanished. I saw where apartment 426 used to be. There was just an empty lot now, as if nothing had ever been there. In the middle of the night, across the street from me, a 7-story apartment complex had completely vanished, along with everyone in it. The police searched for months. The story was all over the news that entire year. The missing posters of the 200 tenants of apartment 426 littered the streets constantly. Cops were everywhere, desperately searching for all of these people. But life moves on, and there never came any leads to the case. The police got others to investigate, and people simply moved on. Now, all that remains from that night are the memories of the people who went missing. It wouldn't be until years later that I got any real clue as to what had happened. I was over at my father's house, drinking with him and one of his buddies. This guy used to be a cop, and the topic of the disappearances came up. I asked him if they ever found 426 or any of the tenants. His face twisted into a grim expression, and he leaned forward before speaking in a hushed tone. "Look, I'm really not supposed to talk about it, but it's been years, and I trust that neither of you will say shit to anyone. We found the building. It was a couple of months after the whole thing had gone down. One of our guys was at the lot where the building used to be when his radio picked up a stray signal. He said that it was hundreds of people screaming all at once, like the sounds of hell were coming through his radio. We all assumed that the signal was coming from inside the building, and that it proved our theory that it had somehow sunk into the ground. So we brought in a ground-penetrating radar. Lo and behold, there it is, 200 feet beneath the surface. Funny thing is, we'd already done scans when it first disappeared, and it hadn't been there, so why was it there now? Anyways, they drilled into it from a nearby metro station. It took them months to do. They weren't really hoping to find anyone alive. I mean, they knew how slim the chances were. If those people hadn't run out of food and water, they would have run out of air first. I guess they just wanted to know what had happened. Thing is, when they finally got in, it was completely empty, not a fucking soul. This place was completely sealed. There were no exits. And trust me, they looked. It's as if everyone that was in the building just up and vanished without a trace. Well, no, that's not entirely true, because they did find one person a couple of months later. They were excavating this old stone foundation out in the old port when they hit something soft. So, the guy gets out, and there's just blood everywhere. The excavation shovel had cracked open one of the huge boulders, and there was this guy fused in there. It gets weirder, because the guy's skin was fucking translucent. Like, they could see everything inside him and shit. His blood was still warm, as if he had just been alive until they hit him, and they're obviously freaking the fuck out. And they call the police, and they aren't really taking it all that seriously when they get there. I mean, I can't even blame them. I wouldn't have believed it myself if I hadn't seen it. The guys that responded, they're just laughing in this fella's face until they see the guy in the rock. I was friends with these two, and they told me they'd never been that scared. Dude looked like a human-shaped sausage, you know, like a clear casing and you could see all his insides. Parts of him were completely fused with the rock. Like there was no separation between where the skin stopped and the rock started. I kind of laughed at them at that point because I thought they were pulling my leg. But they looked so serious at me that I stopped. I mean, I had never seen these two like this. They were genuinely horrified. So they brought the body to the coroner, and he was just as baffled. Said he'd never seen anything like it in his 20 years of working there. So, what was it that killed this guy? Well, it turns out it was blunt force trauma from the excavation shovel. I mean, how the fuck does that even make sense? The guy was encased in stone. How the fuck was he still alive? They ran his blood, identified him as one of the missing people. We called his family to come and identify the body. And by the time they got there, he had just up and disappeared again. Poof. Just like that. Gone into thin air. We couldn't explain it. I mean, there were cameras all over the place. Caught nothing. We never found him again, you know? Never found any of the others either. I quit after that. Couldn't stomach it anymore. We sat in silence for a while, just thinking about what he had said. I had never heard this man lie in my entire life. But what he just told us was completely nuts. But somehow I still believed him. I mean, I was there that night. I saw that the building had vanished. I guess hearing it from his mouth with all the additional information, it just made it too real for me. After a while, he looked up at us, plastered on a smile that didn't reflect his eyes, and changed the subject to a completely different topic. I couldn't stop thinking about what he'd told us, so I left shortly after. Now I'm back home. It's foggy as hell outside. I got back at just the right time. Now I'm writing this out for you guys because I can't get it off my mind. People have to know what happened to them. They had families, lives. I just can't let them fade away into nothing. So I'll try to uncover some more for you guys, for their families. I promise to update you soon.